and welcome to Fort Mill Business Today, sponsored by the Fort Mill Economic Council. I'm Cathie Mercer, here today at the beautiful crossings on Main with our featured guest, Travis Tolson. Welcome, Travis.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, what brings you here today?
Well, me and my family are opening up a brewery in downtown Fort Mill.
We are so excited. What's the name of the brewery?
We went with Amor Artis, which is love craft in Latin.
Oh, I love that. So I think probably one of the hardest things in beginning a business is coming up with a name. So whose idea?
It actually came from my brother, and it's just one of those things where we wanted craft beer is just, it's kind of a niche market, and we wanted people to realize that loving the craft it's an art. So it's just one of those things where we originally wanted to name it after the town. That just didn't work out, and so we decided to go in a different direction, and that's what we kind of fell with.
So Amor Artis.
Amor Artis.
Amor Artist.
Amor Artis.
It's all about, where you put the emphasis on the word, right?
Yeah, it can be a
Have
little
a couple
confusing.
of craft beers and you are good to go. You forever know exactly how to say that word.
Absolutely.
That is wonderful. Why Fort Mill?
Well, me and my brother grew up in Fort Mill. We moved here in '99. My family did, from Texas, and went to middle school and high school here. We both moved away and kind of did our own things for a while. I ended up having 2 kids recently within the past.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Within the past 3 years, and we decided that it was time to get closer to family again. My mother and my father live here. My brother lives down in Charleston. He'll be moving back here too. So we ended up in Asheville 2 years ago, and I was brewing up there for 2 years, and then we started looking into the area as far as trying to open up our own shop down closer to home. So yeah, excited to be back in the Fort Mill area. Yeah,
and bringing craft beer to an up and thriving Main Street in Fort Mill. It looks a little different, I suppose.
It does, and we actually just bought a house 2 streets down from downtown Fort Mill in Whiteville Park, so we closed on that in May, and got the family moved in, and yeah, so we're excited to be part of the downtown revitalization.
Yes, so you are really bringing and living that live, work, play right here.
Trying to. Me and my wife always say we like living in little bubbles, and this little bubble we really enjoy a lot, so we're excited to be here.
Now, it's a family affair.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did this idea begin?
It began I was brewing in Alaska. My wife was...
Wait a minute, so you've been in Asheville, you've been in Alaska, you really bring a lot of experience.
Raised military, then I married into military, and my wife got us stationed up there, and so there wasn't a whole lot of jobs up on Kodiak Island, and I was home brewing before that, and so I went into the brewery. They happened to be expanding, and got a job there, worked there for 3 years, and again had my son, and knew it was time to get closer to family, and so my wife decided to get out of the Coast Guard. She's still in the reserves, but we moved to Asheville, and once we moved to Asheville, we knew that it was time to start thinking about a game plan to open up a business. I knew that working at the place I was, there was only so much room where I could grow and do what I wanted to do. So me and my brother started plugging away, talking about it, and started asking family and friends and stuff like that, hey, do you think it's a good idea? Next thing you know, about a year and a half ago, we came down to Fort Mill and saw downtown was revitalizing a lot of the buildings, and started talking to Shaw, and next thing you know, we're sitting here.
There's something about talking to Shaw Kuster.
Yeah.
You might end up owning a business on Main Street, Fort Mill.
Yeah.
Well, that is fantastic. Tell me what the experience we're going to have when we walk into your brew house.
So it's 2 separate buildings, kind of. We've got the old comic book shop, Dave's Comics. That's going to be our bar area. It's really cool. The floors are original hardwood floors from, I believe, 1890.
Wow.
We've got a painting on the inside of our building. They have the Pepsi and the Pepsi sign inside the Improper Pig.
Right.
We've got one that says general merchandise that they think is about 160 years old.
That was there?
Yeah, they knocked down the plaster and it was sitting right there. So
you're like, you got Pepsi, but we got General. So we trump you.
Maybe we trump them with age, but I don't know. That Pepsi sign's pretty cool.
It's all cool.
It's got exposed brick. We're hoping to be working with these local woodworkers who took the joist systems, and they'll be building a custom bar for us and 2 custom community tables for us. Lots of wood in there, just very comfortable and open feeling. And then our brew house will be in the back area, where it's we'll be doing a 7-barrel brew house, which is about 220 gallons at a time.
Okay.
And so we also have brew house back there, and then upstairs is a climate-controlled barrel program. So we'll be doing sour beers up there.
I was about to say, because I totally know what that means.
Yeah, so a barrel aging program, it's a sour program. So when you brew a beer, Then you put it into an oak barrel.
Oh, just like bourbon.
Yeah, just like bourbon or winery like that, and you let it age for 9 months to 2 years, and you constantly are blending stuff and fruiting stuff, and so yeah, we'll be doing that also.
And you are the first craft brewery here in Fort Mill.
Actually, we aren't. Full spectrum.
Well, in the city limits.
In the city limits, yes.
So technically you are.
Fort Mill, though. Charles is a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, okay.
He's been great to us. He's helped us out through along the way. Charles and Troy both have. So full spectrum. I want to say they're the first in Fort Mill. We're the first in downtown Fort Mill.
Okay, that works. That works. But my saying is there's plenty of room for lots of delicious recipes.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
What is your vision for Main Street Fort Mill?
You know, our vision is we really want to try to keep it as local as possible. And when I say local, I mean we're using Springs Farms right now. We just bought 150 pounds of blackberries for a sour beer that we did. We're purchasing 500 pounds of peaches the first week in August from them. We've talked about getting melons from them. We're using local grain sources as far as North Carolina and South Carolina. It's just, we want to try to keep it as local as possible. Of course, we want some tourists to come down here and check it out too from the Charlotte area. But like I want to revert back to the little bubble. We love little bubbles, you know. I started my brewing career in Kodiak, Alaska, where there's only 10,000 people. And every day we saw the same people come in there. It was the social gathering spot. So what we're looking for is families of all ages to come in there and hang out and have a drink and socialize and talk about what's going on in town. And we've got 2 young kids, so we want it to be as family friendly as we can, you know.
I think that's great, and I think for me, learning that part of the whole craft brew industry, I never realized that it's so grounded in relationships.
Absolutely, yeah, it really is, and it's one of those things where it's been a movement recently, and families don't really go to bars per se, but they go to restaurants and they go to breweries. It's more of a social thing. You're not going there to pound a bunch of beers.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going there
We've
to socialize and hang out. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Wow. Travis Tolson, thank you so much for being my guest today and sharing with us all about your vision for
Amor Artis.
Amor Artis. Looking forward to enjoying your craft brew, hopefully by the end of December.
That's what we're shooting for, yeah.
Fantastic. Come back and see us again about that time, okay? All right. Up next, we have Cathie Smith, the owner of Crossings on Main, on more Fort Mill Business Today, sponsored by the Fort Mill Economic Council, in just a few.
The past is definitely coming to life at the Fort Mill History Museum, and we invite you to become a part of it. Come and experience our many exhibits and beautiful works of art by talented local artists in the museum's education gallery. Take a trip back in time and experience the rich history of Fort Mill at the Fort Mill History Museum at 107 Claiborne Street. For more information, call 803-802-3646 or go online at info@fmhm.org.
Welcome back to Fort Mill Business Today, sponsored by the Fort Mill Economic Council. I'm Patty Mercer here at the beautiful Crossings on Main, who happens to be sitting beside me, the owner, Cathie Smith. How are you?
I'm great, Patty. Thank you.
Yes, it's so good to get a chance to always walk through your store and just see all the beautiful things that you have.
Thank you. We're so happy to have so many things, and we just got back from the market, so things are arriving daily.
Yay!
Yes, every day we bring out more stuff.
That is so exciting.
It is exciting.
Tell me about your background.
Well, I grew up in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and Chip and I got married, so we've lived in Fort Mill for 36 years, and I'm very proud of that. And one day he asked his mother and I if we would like to open a little antique store in downtown Fort Mill. They owned this building, and so we were like, sure, we can do that. Well, it didn't take it a couple of weeks, and it turned into a full-time gift store, going to market, and much more than we thought it was going to be. But it's been wonderful. It's been a great journey, and so I've been involved with the store the whole time. Took a few years off to stay home with my children, and Gail, my mother-in-law, kept it going, and then she retired about 3 years ago.
Wow.
So that's when I took over. We did a huge renovation, brought in new inventory, and just have embraced it.
So how many years have you been open here at Crossings on Main?
The store's been open 25 years.
And the story behind is the fact that it was you and your mother-in-law.
Yes.
Which in itself is quite unique.
Yes, it was really unique, and it was a great opportunity for both of us. We
Two
both did it
talented,
together.
creative women.
Right. She kind of handles certain things and I handle certain things, and we did a lot of things together. And then when I needed to stay home to be with my kids a little bit more, she just filled right in and took over. She didn't want to close it down or anything. Thank goodness.
That is like
Isn't
the
that wonderful?
perfect scenario.
Yes.
You know, you've always got coverage, you've always got understanding, especially as the kids, you know, where they're concerned and everything.
Yeah.
But you still manage to always come up with these great gifts for the special people, something unique that you just don't find at every corner in every big box store.
Well, that's our goal, is to find things that you can't find everywhere else. Things that make you happy and make your home happy, your family happy, that help with entertaining and creating just a beautiful home. So, you know, that's our goal, is to find those unique things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And you're really a trendsetter here in Fort Mill because there's so much revitalization that's happening on Main Street.
It is so
What
exciting.
do you think about this?
It's so exciting. We've been the only store for quite
You're
a
like,
while.
it's about time.
Yeah, yes. So we're so thankful for the restaurants that have opened, and the coffee shop that's opened, and the one that's coming, and the other great stores that are here. It's wonderful. And to see the people putting money into the stores, into the way they look, is just, that's probably the best thing. It's just been great for Fort Mill.
How has it personally affected your business?
I think it's been great, just wonderful. We every day new people come in and say, I didn't even know you were here, never been before. You know, they're going downtown to go to Hobo's or Flipside or the coffee shop, and to go to some of the other stores, and they're seeing that we're here, so they're stopping by. So business has just grown so much.
Wow, that's so exciting.
Yes.
And of course, we're hearing a little bit of background, I won't say noise, I'll say music, which there's a crawl going on Main Street, Fort Mill.
Yes, it's so exciting. So we're having more events now around the downtown, which I think is great. We want downtown Fort Mill to be a destination where people come to eat, to socialize, to shop, just to walk around and see people. And there's a park here. There's tons of history. The History Museum is here. So, we're having a crawl tonight.
Yep.
We're open till 9, and we're excited about that. And all the stores are open, and it's just
kind
a
of
good
like
time.
an indoor picnic. You can go in, you can browse around, extended hours, maybe have a glass of wine.
Absolutely.
Just so many cool things to
Yes,
see right
yes.
here in Fort Mill. How do you think Fort Mill is doing with blending the new development and the new vision and protecting and preserving the historical aspect of Fort Mill?
I think we're doing a great job. I'm just so excited to see people putting money into the buildings to bring them up to a standard of what these new developments are looking like, and just people coming in and being willing to invest in a downtown area. The restaurants are some of the best restaurants in Fort Mill are downtown, so that's all just great. And I think there's plenty for everybody to do, to go to Baxter and to go to Kingsley, and then also to come downtown.
That's
so
right.
It's a great opportunity.
Something
Everybody
for
has.
everybody.
Yes.
Now, I hear the restaurants and some of the newer businesses talk about how they're going to support local and buy local ingredients, do as much as they can to keep things local. What are you doing? Have you been doing? Will you do more of as it relates to local?
Yes, we really search out the local artists that we can support here. And one that we support is called True Cotton. And we sell just tons of her beautiful prints that she does. She lives in Baxter. And we even have events with her coming in and signing her paintings, and so we do search out those things, not only in Fort Mill but just in the South in general, things that are made locally.
Yeah.
And we love to do that. We're always searching for that.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, in terms of advertising crossings, how do you get the word out that you're here?
That's probably the biggest change we've seen over the years, is just really getting into the social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we do all of that. Emails, and it just reaches a huge number of people, and it works the best for us.
Yes, yes.
So that is what we concentrate on right now, and it is a full-time job.
Oh, tell me about it. But it truly is amazing
Yeah.
how you can reach people all over the world
Yes.
with creative, beautiful gifts that are sold right here
Right.
in Fort Mill, South Carolina.
Right. So what we do is, like, if a new item comes in, we'll take a picture and put it out there, and then people, people are so busy, so they'll see something, oh, I'd like to look at that, or that's cute, so they'll come by.
Right.
Whereas maybe it isn't something they want at that time, so they don't come by. But anyway, it's just a great tool for us, but also for the consumer.
Well, I just love it because
Thank you.
sometimes I just need that little prompt to
Yes.
go, you need this, Patty.
Yeah.
Is there anything about Crossings on Main that you'd like to share with me that I haven't asked you?
Just that our involvement with this community is just very important to us. The relationships we have with all of our customers and with the other merchants on Main Street. When you own a local business, you give back a lot to the community. And I think everyone knows that, and that's why we have such loyal customers here. They know that we're here for them, we're here for the schools and the parks, and I just think that's really important. It's important to remember that local businesses do a lot for the community, so it's important to support them.
Absolutely.
And we get that all the time.
Cathie Smith, thank you so much for sharing about your beautiful store, Crossings on Main.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed our time together.
Yes, and I know you're going to be busy the rest of the evening. What's going on?
Well, we're having a crawl downtown, so we're open till 9. We're serving wine and some cheese and crackers, so it's just a fun night for people to come by and say hey and just stay up and a little bit later.
Yes. On a hot day, just come on in and
cool
enjoy
off.
shopping inside. Cool off with a
Yes.
glass of wine and
Yes.
buy something pretty.
Yes.
Great to meet you. Thanks
Nice
for
to meet
sharing.
you.
And thank you for tuning in to this edition of Fort Mill Business Today, sponsored by the Fort Mill Economic Council. Of course, Crossings on Main, the crawl tonight. Something's always happening right here in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Until next time, this is Patty Mercer. Bye-bye.